Hi, everybody. Welcome back to First Chapter Friday. This month we are reading Lalani of the Distant Sea by Erin Entrada Kelly. And I actually picked this book for a couple different reasons. When I read personally, I like to read for escapism. Therefore, I tend to like a lot of fantasy. And this book here is based on Filipino folklore. And I also like that when you open up in the beginning, there's a lot of like really cute illustrations, but there's also a map that you can follow along to the places in the story in the front. So I kind of like that. And furthermore, I like the fact that it gives you a little brief overview as to what the story is about right in the beginning. So I think I knew right away that I was going to like this book. So let's get started with Lalani of the Distant Sea by Erin Entrada Kelly. Okay, it says, there are stories of extraordinary children who are chosen from birth to complete great quests and conquer evil villains. This is no such story. Sometimes you are an ordinary child. Sometimes you choose yourself. Come closer and nestle deep. Travel now to two mountains. They are alive. Well, at least they are to those who live among them. One of them towers darkly, and it casts a shadow of vengeance, impatience, and fear. The Sanlagatans call it Mount Kana. The other mountain, if you can call it that, is bathed in light. Set foot here, and you will have all of life's good fortunes, whatever those may be. This is Mount Isa. You can't see Isa now. No human has ever laid eyes on her. Nevertheless, the Sanlagatans are certain the mountain calls to them. They die trying to answer. They attempt journey after journey. They are pushed by their faith, not knowing that they believe in the wrong things. Their ships sink, their hearts break, and yet they make the trip because they feel Isa's presence on an invisible horizon, somewhere far away, yet close enough to touch, somewhere beyond the distant sea. And now we come to the first chapter. It's called The Three of Them. 12-year-old Lalani Sarita had heard of the story of the mountain beast many times. She knew of his mangled face, his house of stolen treasures, and his penchant for evil trickery, but she begged to hear it all again anyway. It was the perfect night for ghost stories. The moon cast a bluish glow through the slats of the Yuzi house, and jars of bulb flies shined like stars in the corners of the front room. Lo Yuzi leaned forward in her rocking chair to eye the member of its audiences closely. There were three of them, of course: Lalani, her best friend Veda, and Veda's younger brother Hetsby. Imagine you are an old man, Lo Yuzi, who was Veda and Hetsby's mother, said. She spoke in the loudest of whispers, and the chair creaked when she moved. Her hands, rough and scarred from years of pulling plants, sat folded on her lap. Your face is weary with wrinkles, and your nose is missing. Lalani pressed her palms to her cheeks and pulled them down, imagining her face was sagging with age. Hetsby, who was only 1 year younger than the girls, laughed behind his closed fist. You live on Mount Kana, Lo Yuzi continued. You spend all your days alone, dreaming of your other life when you had friends and a family, but you know that this life is what you're due because of all of your sins. And one day a brave but frightened boy decides to climb the mountain, even though all of the villagers tell him not to. Her expression darkened. Mount Kana does not wish to be disturbed. The villagers say, it will eat you alive. She snatched at the air in front of their faces, and they all flinched, even though she'd done this dozens of times before. And you know they're right, because this mountain only loves evil things, like you. But this boy doesn't listen to the villagers. He fills his lucky bronze canteen and he sets out anyway. And this makes you happy because, wait, Hetsby is frowning. You forgot the eyes. Oh, right. Lalani realized that too. The eyes were the most important part of this story. Veda tossed her long raven hair over her shoulder and braided it. Something she did when she was impatient. Ha, yes, the eyes, Loyuzi said. She sighed, leaned back, creak. I suppose we will have to start again another time. Oh, come on, just backtrack a little. We can keep going, said Lalani quickly. I'd rather start a new path than trace old ones, Loyuzi said. Besides, it's time for sleep. We need to wake as early as we can to beat the sun. But there's no point in that, and they all knew it. There'd be no rain for months, and the heat was relentless. It didn't matter what time you woke up, you were going to sweat. Veda was already half standing. Loyuzi snapped her fingers toward her daughter and motioned for her to sit back down. We have benediction. Ugh. Veda sighed and took her seat again. Loyuzi bowed her head. Lalani did too. Mount Kana, they all said in unison, although Lalani suspected Veda wasn't saying a word. Spare us another night. Remain quiet and peaceful in our gratitude. Once they were nestled in their Oostrum stuffed blankets, which splayed across the floor of the sleeping room, Veda grumbled as usual about the benedictions. It's so silly, she whispered. She turned on her side to face Lalani. Loyuzi was in the basin room rinsing the vegetables they picked earlier that day. Why are we asking a mountain to remain silent? Mountains are mountains. Don't say that, said Hetsby. Lalani didn't know another boy who spooked as easily as Hetsby. Maybe because he didn't have a father to show him all the ways of men. Then again, many boys didn't. Not if they were the children of sailors, as the three of them were. The life of a sailor didn't last long in San Lagita. After all, either way, it's a good story, Lalani said. I wish my mother told stories like that. She thought of her mother's lined face and tired eyes. But that's all it is, a story. This place has too many of those, said Veda. Maybe we should go climb it then, Hetsby said, elbowing her in the back, since it's just a mountain. Take a canteen and go up tomorrow, and let's see how brave you are. I have more important things to do, said Veda. I need plants for Toppy's salve. Toppy, Aurelio, the sick baby 3 houses down. Lalani pushed her blanket away with her feet. Too warm for a blanket, too warm for anything. I'll help you pick them, Lalani said. Veda smiled mournfully. I'm not sure I'll need much help. There aren't many plants left. Speaking of Toppy, Hetsby said excitedly, his sister said they found hair on the rocks along the southern shore. Ziva's hair. Really? Lalani said. Veda rolled her eyes. How do you know it's Ziva's? It was long and black and stretched between the rocks like a web, Hetsby said, weaving his narrow fingers together like this. Ugh. There's no other explanation. All the women in the village have long black hair, Veda said. It could belong to anyone. Hetsby dropped his arms to his sides. But how did it get between the rocks then? Any number of ways, said Veda. Like I said, this place has too many stories. We need to solve real problems. Like, how am I going to make any medicine without any plants? The three of them lay there silently. That was a real problem indeed. Maybe we can ask the mountain for rain, Lalani said softly. I'm not asking the mountain for anything, Hetsby whispered. If the mountain beast hears us, what if he's listening now with his pointed ears and he comes and steals us in our sleep? They're just stories, Veda said. Lalani took her friend's hands and squeezed. I'll ask just in case. She closed her eyes. Please, Kana, give us rain. Her imagination floated up and up the mountain, trying to picture a beautiful or a peaceful benefactor. Instead, she saw the beast, just as Loyuzi described. Except now he had sharp, pointed claws. He scrambled toward her, scuttering like a tree creature, toppling treasures in his wake. Give me your eyes, he hissed, and you can have anything you wish for. And that is the end of chapter 1 of Lalani of the Distant Sea by Erin Entrada Kelly. I am hooked. I don't know about you. And I like the fact that this one, even though it comes, in paper form, it also, you can read it or listen to it on Hoopla, which is, the reading, one of the reading apps we have at the library. It's available as an ebook or an e-audiobook on Hoopla. So thanks again for hanging out with me, guys, and I'll see you again next month. Okay, bye.